why I believe the Republican Party to be the party of morality.
Illuminati is a thing you need to watch out for. They want to depopulate and slave us so much more. World domination, I'll get into that later. I'm hardcore, fierce and sexy. You're just a hater. You deserve the ridicule because you're an absolute zero. I'm the keeper of the chalice, a rock and roll hero. I'm not an idiot nobody listens to, because I'm not a failure in life like you. Let's talk about Bill Gates and the mark of the beast and the orgies in the streets at the Catholic feasts and Bill and Hillary's human trafficking ring. And George Soros got the money to pay for everything. Socialism is for losers, working for the devil. Chumps that can't fight, they ain't on my level. It takes an evil one to try to debunk a doubter, so I'd rather die than stop talking about it. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out. Watch out for the Illuminati. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out. Watch out for the Illuminati. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out. Watch out for the Illuminati. Watch out for the Illuminati.
Gregory the Third was forced to grovel to the king of the Franks, who used convents as brothels. Wash your mouth out with soap, here come the popes. The finest food, plates of gold, here come the popes.
Hi, this is going to be a Sunday special that some of you might not like. But it needs to be said. It's something that needs to be touched on. And that is so that people can not be misled. Of course, I believe in God. I respect God. That's why I voted for Donald Trump. And that's why I believe the Republican Party to be the party of morality. However, that doesn't mean that human beings, flesh and blood human beings, just like you and me, are somehow infallible. They're not. This would include McCavish, the head of the Church of Scientology. This would be a lot of pastors on TV that you may hold of a level of infallibility. And yes, even some popes fall into that category of not being completely infallible. Matter of fact, no human being is completely infallible. Imperfect man cannot be ultimately directed by imperfect man. That's why we need to have an understanding that God is real and that we have to have a respect for God. And all evidence points to, and this is going to piss a lot of you off, all evidence points to the Catholic Church being a revamped, reinvented version of the rank and file found in the Roman Empire. And a lot of their pagan beliefs and ways were incorporated into Christianity to create what is now known as the Catholic Church. And the title of Caesar eventually got phased out and replaced by the title of Pontiff. And this is why you see a lot of the popes being catered to and chauffeured around similarly to how the emperors of Rome were chauffeured around and catered to. They eat out of gold plates, drink out of gold chalices, like the emperors of Rome and their close advisors. And we might say the official merger of the two had taken place with the incarnation or the coronation of Pope Innocent I. And over the years, popes have declared certain things a sin that you will not find in the Holy Bible as considered a sin. Which, I'm not saying don't practice these things. I'm not saying don't avoid these things if you choose to do that. But there's certain things the Pope says is a sin that if you find yourself doing it, you're probably not going to go to hell. Unless you believe in your heart it's something that's going to send you to hell, then it's the belief that you're doing something wrong and knowingly doing something wrong that will probably bring you to hell. See how that works? So there's a lot of things that people do not knowing that it's an abomination. And the laws of God, believe it or not, are more forgiving than the laws of man. The laws of man in any structured nation would pretty much say that ignorance of the law is no excuse. So if you break a law you didn't know existed, you still have to pay the penalty for that law. Like, there are some people that think that owning and shooting off fireworks is legal in New York. So you got people, they go to their Connect, they buy fireworks. Donald Trump wins the presidency, they shoot off fireworks, 4th of July, of course. Labor Day, New Year's, they'll shoot off fireworks. They get caught by a cop. They're getting the cuffs put on them, getting their fireworks confiscated, and the poor guy's standing there like, oh, what's the big deal? It was ignorance of the law. If you do something that you did not know was a sin, then you find out it's a sin, you regret that you've done it, repent for it, you're forgiven. And this is a cat. This is Blondie, by the way. I like cats. Cats are very nice. Cats are very nice. Blondie got into a fight with one of his brothers, right? Blondie tried to beat up one of his bigger, stronger brothers, and that wasn't very nice for him to start. But his big brother should have known better and should have just pawed him away without taking his claws out. So, he's gonna get his drops for that later. But anyway, this is what's going on. So you have some people that are finding this out now. This doesn't mean to rebel against all forms of religion, but it's to understand that organized religion is made by man. which does not necessarily make God automatically a fake entity or a fake deity. I find the best way to communicate with God is read His Word, learn from His Word, put your hands together in prayer, close your eyes, communicate with God directly. And I know this works because there's so many cars that I repaired whose customers would have veered off and hit a brick wall, or they would have had an SUV rollover or something, or their brakes would have just automatically stopped working, and they would have went into the river with their families if there was no God, because it is that same God that I pray to for instructions on each individual crucial automotive repair, and I've been successful with it each and every time. There has not been a single failure with that, because my God is the God that cannot fail. And so I believe in God. Now, I'm not here to bash popes, but I don't think it's wrong to point out that some popes have done things that were blatantly wrong. There have been popes that have fornicated. There have been popes that were caught having a severe gambling habit that cut into the budget of the Vatican. And when bishops blew the whistle on it, those bishops got their bishops hacked off, so to speak. There was a woman named Theodora who started out as a stripper, who then started having affairs with high-ranking members of the clergy, including at least 2 popes, birthing a son who would eventually become Pope himself, and the brother of that Pope, who would eventually throw her in jail, and after his death, a bishop got sent in to slit her throat. And this is all factual news. You could look this up. You could Google this stuff. Google is the answer. And so there's so many other factors. William Cooper, former naval intelligence officer, patriot, talk show host on the radio, writer of the book Behold a Pale Horse, a man who was eventually gunned down on November 5th, 2001, a man who President Bill Clinton once called the most dangerous man on radio. It's interesting that he wasn't as vocal against him as Rush Limbaugh, but Bill Clinton went to attack William Cooper rather than Rush Limbaugh. Interesting stuff here, isn't it? So William Cooper says in his book, Behold a Pale Horse, in several paragraphs, suggesting that a Polish businessman by the name of Carol, see if I can pronounce the name, Wachahova, was a businessman from Poland who sold Zyklon gas to the Nazis. And then, all of a sudden, in his mid-40s, joined the Catholic Church, rose up in the ranks, tried really hard for the position of Pope when Pope Paul VI died, intending to name himself John Paul I, but instead, a man of Italian descent took the papal throne, called himself Pope John Paul I. It is suggesting that the September Pope was the September Pope, serving only in the month of September, died due to assassination. That's what's said in this book, Behold the Pale Horse, and that the next Pope, that gentleman Carroll that I mentioned, became John Paul II. Now, I would like to not believe that, but judging by William Cooper's history of due diligence in research, it's very hard to just blindly dismiss it as bunk. Because William Cooper was very thorough in his research, studying these things. And a lot of people see him as the UFO expert and a prominent expert on the details of the Kennedy assassination, the JFK assassination, of course. But a lot of people fail to realize is that he delved deep into practices, learning the practices and rituals of the occult and what they do, what they believe, and how they dictate policy worldwide based on their beliefs, and how they take their ways and their version, their religion, and inject it into everything in life, including the modern day religions that most of the earth practices now, including style, fashion, culture, music, movies, government, military, the medical field, industry, manufacturing, productivity. These people from these fraternities of the mystery schools, loosely termed as the Illuminati, literally have their hand in everything. This is why, with hundreds of media news outlets, it all got whittled down to 6 parent companies that all have ties in with one another. There are certain rituals in a civil courtroom and in a criminal courtroom that mimic the rituals of the Saturnalian Brotherhood. There are things having to do with interpretations, with Catholic interpretations of Christianity that are similar more to the Osirian belief than they are to the Christian belief. This is why it's very important to know and understand your scriptures directly without taking the word of a person at the pulpit. Cut out your, listen, take in their aspect or take in their opinion on what's going on. Then look it up in the Bible. Make your own references. Tune in with God directly. Cut out the middleman as an actual conduit of your faith. The only thing that could be construed as a middleman is Jesus Christ, who is God anyway. Because God the Father came down as the Son and now lives forever as the Holy Spirit. See how that works? So I know what I'm talking about here. This isn't some brainwashed gibberish here. And for those of you who are on the fence and confused, this is the way to go. Get rid of all the fluff. Read your Bible directly. Understand the difference between the stories told as far as what physically happened and what is figurative. Because there's a lot of esoteric in the Holy Bible, but there's also a lot of exoteric. Some things that you might see as something figurative, you find out years later through actual science and research was actually physically done. Which is why the story of Noah's Ark is not just some stupid fairy tale. And you're not stupid to believe in Noah's Ark. Might be a little silly to believe the tooth fairy's coming to put a nickel under your pillow if you put your rotten missing tooth under your pillow. But believe Noah's Ark. And most definitely believe the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. And don't feel bad for those people. They chose their fate. Now, more things proving that the popes are not completely infallible. They're not your worst enemy. I'm not saying this to stand on a soapbox and start cursing popes all day. Not even the particular men that I mentioned. Because who knows? There might be some records revealed that completely exonerate these men of what they're said to have done. Now, it's often said that Pope Pius XII favored Hitler's Nazis and Mussolini's fascists. This was said by many people, but a lot of people did not know that he did keep a handful of Jews hidden from the Nazis in the Vatican itself. He hid from Nazis many, many Jews. And this was well intended and done with intent to protect them, but to deflect the Nazis from going after these Jews, he said and did some things that allowed for the Nazis to go back out and lash on an even greater number of Jews. And result of that, of course, is the recorded 6 million Jews were dead. And it's said that 12 million total are dead because of the Third Reich. And a lot of people say, well, maybe Pope Pius should have released these Jews. As you don't know. You don't know if he would have just taken that handful of Jews and spared all the others. I mean, judging by the behavior in those times, it would have been them plus the 6 million. So you don't know. So I believe in my heart of hearts that Pope Pius was neither a Nazi, a fascist, or a sympathizer to either or. That's just my opinion. My opinion on Pope John Paul II is that I have a place in my heart for the man. He was Polish. I'm of partial Polish heritage. So that's like pretty much one for our team. Yay! And I would like to not believe what was written about him in William Cooper's book, Behold the Pale Horse. But it's very hard to just dismiss it, considering William Cooper's history of doing his due diligence in research on matters like this. And here's something interesting. The last pope named John was John the 23rd. Now they say when you become a pope, you have to take on the name of a saint. Or, in the case of John Paul I and John Paul II, the names of two saints. Now, my name happens to be John. Technically, if I joined the Catholic Church tomorrow, worked my way up to Pope in a year's time, which you can if you work out hard enough, and let's say I was to do that, I'd actually be able to keep the name John. And I would then become John the 24th. The funny thing is that the number 24, when I was a hardcore defenseman for a prominent football league in Brooklyn, I wore number 24. So how cool would it be that me, who does these videos, curses people out and says things like fuck Che Guevara and fuck Kamala Harris, would get to keep my name John and even call myself Pope John the 24th. So it'd be like I'm back there on the gridiron at Shady Park all over again. And then taking that fighting spirit to the Vatican. That entails giving up a lot of things that my Maker does not want me to give up. Because the ability to do a lot of the things that I do, he has given me as gifts direct from God himself. Like my ability to rap, for example. I believe that's a gift from God. I believe my abilities to repair cars and follow his instructions on how to repair cars are gifts from God. And so I'd rather stay where I'm at here in America, fixing cars, making cool rap music, and enlightening you guys out there to valuable information like what I hath just bestowed upon you. Just think of me as a conduit from the Maker himself through my lips to your ears. Respect God. Watch out for the Illuminati. Beware of charlatans, snakes, hucksters, and frauds. Stay strong. Keep kicking that slang. This your boy, hip-hop legend, recording engineer, underground rock and roll hero, keeper of the chalice, master of sound quality, killer for real, MC Too Tall. Please be good.